Hey everybody, Coach Toolshed here, and today we're going to be discussing the conversation around the conversation surrounding Fallout 76, because things have gotten out of control over the last few days. This is turning even more contentious post-launch than it was pre-launch, which usually doesn't happen, but things are getting really ugly out there really fast. The lines are being drawn further apart than Republicans and Democrats at this point. So I want to get into this conversation. Now, I wasn't going to do any Fallout 76 content until I got a little bit further, but I feel like some stuff needs to be said. While you guys enjoy the God rays coming out of the ground here, yes, just enjoy that. So I'm going to be showing some random bugs during this playthrough, so you guys can just sort of soak these in. These are all post-launch bugs, stuff that supposedly was going to get ironed out, optimized. Some of the stuff's supposed to be smoothed out. And at the end of the video, I'm going to have a big bug that they said they had identified and patched out completely, which is still clearly in the game. And I'm saving it for the end because it's an audio bug, and you're probably going to want to turn the sound all the way down while I play it, because it'll blow your speakers out or your phone out, whatever. Here's a nice disconnect. That happens all the time, by the way. So anyway, let's get into the basic conversation that's happening right now. Because what we're seeing now is the normal evolution for an online game when it comes to the split player base. There's people that like it, there's people that hate it. And that's going to be the case in any online game, and especially a game as divisive as Fallout, where this has been a long-standing series that has been one way, and now they've changed it into a pretty radically different direction. God rays at night coming through a rock. God rays at night coming through a rock. Love it. Oh, this is a fun bug too. Don't forget about this one. But anyway, so what I see happening here in this conversation is, first you had the people that were generally excited for this game to be announced, and then when it got announced right away, you saw the division happen between the player base. And at first you had people that were really excited for the game, and they were saying, oh, the only people, these are just some angry New Vegas fanboys. They're the only ones that are really upset. And then that sort of morphed into, oh, well, it's just the vocal minority that doesn't understand that this is a spin-off game. They're doing something new. It's just a vocal minority that has a problem with this game. And then we went a couple more months, and then we hadn't seen any gameplay. And then that's turned into, well, people are just hating on the game because we haven't seen gameplay yet. Once we see gameplay, then we'll all be convinced. And then we saw the gameplay, and people were not happy with it. And then that turned into the, hey guys, it's just a beta. Don't you know they're going to fix all this? This is going to be fine in time for the beta. And then when that didn't happen, and there were still problems at launch, and the Metacritic got review bombed, which, granted, the user review scores on Metacritic, don't listen to them. But then that turned into, oh, this is just more angry New Vegas fanboys review bombing. This is just angry fanboys review bombing it. Surely once the real reviews come out, we'll be vindicated, and that everyone will know that this is a good game. And then that turned into, well, reviewers aren't really saying much. So then it turned into, well, I'm really enjoying the game because I like this aspect. And then it started turning into personal attacks on people who weren't liking the game. If you didn't like the game, you must not like to read because you don't want to read the things, or you don't have the attention span to listen to a holotape, or you don't have any friends because you can't find anyone to play with, or you're just not creative and you don't know how to have your own fun. Like, it turned into personal attacks against people who had problems with the game. It had nothing to do with the fact that there was problems with the game. They just wanted to blame the players. And then that turned into, and this is the argument that is still happening right now, is these people like saying, well, anyone who has a problem with this game, they clearly haven't played it because I'm playing it and I'm loving it. And you want to know what? If you're truly loving this game, great. You can have fun with subpar games, even bad games. But that doesn't change the fact that you're having fun playing a bad game. Certainly, is this not another bug too? He's all of a sudden not taking damage. Oh, what's happening here? Well, it's going to be another server disconnect, because once again, this happens all the time. And this is all post-launch footage. This is nothing I'm showing here is beta footage. This is all stuff that's happened just in the last couple of days. And now this is turning into this situation where people are just, they're getting so defensive that they like the game. It's like, hey, you can like the game. That's fine. I'm not saying you can't like the game. Okay? If there's aspects of this that you find to be good, That's great. But what I see is people just want to be in denial, and I see sort of the death throes of people just thrashing about. They just don't want to admit that the general consensus around this game, it's not just angry fanboys. It's not just YouTubers who've been critical of it. It's not people who are trying to cash in on the hate hype train. This is the new thing I see. The hate hype train. I don't think you guys really understand what hype is, because hype is something that is used to promote a product. We're not here to promote hate. We're trying to show people that there's problems with this game and to not waste $60 on it. And guess what? They're already doing a price drop next week. It's going to be cut by a third of the price within a week after launch. You see what I mean? Now, granted, it's for a holiday sale, but even at the reduced price now, the game's still not ready to go. This is still a buggy disaster, and we can step aside and we can look past all the bugs if you'd like, and at the core, what you have here is a game that is still just not very good. It doesn't do PvP well. It doesn't run properly. The engine is outdated, and please spare me the people telling me that Bethesda doesn't need to work on a new engine, because I had plenty of that. Unbelievable the amount of people who are like, what qualifies you? You're not a game developer. Okay, what qualifies me is I've been playing their games for the last 2 decades on the same engine, which is woefully outdated. So don't even get me started with that side of the conversation. Oh, and this is actually another major bug. This is when I try to give some of my bullets to my teammate here, just trying to give him 60 bullets, and what you'll see is, if you really pay attention here, is I had 160 bullets for 45 rounds. He had 341, and when the transaction is completed, well, once you know it, they take 60 bullets out of mine, and they don't give it to him. And that's kind of a major bug in a survival game when you're trying to survive with your friends and they might need some ammo. And there you see it. I went from 160 bullets down to 100, and he did not get the 60 bullets in his inventory, despite the fact that we completed the transaction. So that's kind of a major thing, and that's something that I don't see people talking about either. I also still don't see people talking about the fact that on PlayStation 4, I still have a character that is missing three different perk card packs from level apps, which I had to completely abandon the character after dozens of hours. So that was also delightful, which I still don't hear. And if they get the big patch and we get the vague, oh, it's a stability patch. Cool, guys. It's a 47 gigabyte stability patch. Cool beans. That rocks. And I'm still getting kicked off your servers, so still not that stable. And let's talk about one of the core loops of the game, which is supposed to be building your camp and your base, right? This is supposed to be one of the core features to the game. Well, if you look in the top right corner, you'll see that my budget's already almost full, and all I've built is this little cabin with nothing much in it. I have a bed, I have a small table and a chair, I have some crafting stations, and I have a cook fire outside, and I've planted, you probably can't see in this video actually, but I have a small row of plants in the back. And now you see I started to build a new building over here. I wanted to upgrade the house, build it back in the woods a little bit, and my budget is already about 75 to 80% full right now. And this is far smaller of a building location than any location available in Fallout 4. So not only did they take a feature which was already not incredibly popular with people and make it a core feature of this game. Now, I know a lot of people enjoyed the settlements of Fallout 4, and I actually did myself. I have said this before, and I've shown videos way back in the day of me building settlements, and I spent hours building settlements. I actually kind of liked it. But this, I tried to get going here, and as you can see, as I go, I'm going to pretty much fill up the budget just throwing up a few more walls here. So I'm going to have to scrap this entirely, redo it, make it much smaller. And once again, this is the only base you have in the game, and this is supposed to be a core feature of the game. Look at the size that I can build. It's almost nothing. This is nothing compared to what you could build in Fallout 4. It's not even close. It's not even close. This is a massive downgrade to the system. And people say, oh, I'm having tons of fun. Okay, great. You're having fun with an inferior game. I'm sorry. And if you're not at the point where you're ready to admit that, that's fine. Because I've seen this with games as a service titles before. People get hooked. And I've seen one of the arguments people make is like, oh man, I didn't expect to like it, but I just sunk a ton of hours into it. Yeah, you did. That's how these games are designed. They're designed to be a loopy grind where you go out, you kill some things, you get some loot, you go back to camp. You go out, you kill some things, you get some loot, you go back to camp. You get into the loop. And since you never have a real purpose or a real objective, and especially in this game, the loop becomes the entire game and you can't stop. It's a psychological thing. That's exactly how these games are designed. And unfortunately, that's the most amount of work that went into the game design for Fallout 76. I know a lot of people just don't want to hear this, and I know there's a lot of people that are having fun with the game. But you guys have to realize the vast majority here is not liking this game and has major problems with this game. And this game is not, in fact, up to industry standards in any genre you want to put it in. It's a bad role-playing game. It's a bad shooter. It's a bad open world game the way it's running right now. The map's fine. The map's cool. It's a little empty in some spots, kind of a joke empty in some spots, but it has some varied terrain. It has some good locations. But I mean, the enemy AI is bad. I mean, look, I'm just dancing around this Deathclaw. This should be a life or death struggle here. I'm much lower level than him. He's a Deathclaw. And I'm just, kind of dancing around this log, taking him out with a sniper rifle. That's one of the harder enemies in the game. Now, of course, there are much harder enemies than that. I'm not saying that this is some supreme thing, but a Deathclaw in a Fallout game used to be difficult to kill, and now it's really not anymore. The problem people have with this game is this is a watered-down version of everything. They tried to condense every type of game into one game, and it's just kind of a mess. And if you're having fun with it, great. If you're having fun with the jankiness and the texture popping and the fact that you've already explored a lot of these buildings 1,000 times over in Fallout 4, it's the same church buildings, the same house setups, a lot of the same building structures. And the excuse for that is, well, New Vegas also used reused assets. Well, okay, great. That was also 10 years ago. And a different studio was farmed out to do that project using Bethesda's engine, so it's not that crazy. But that's the problem here. Bethesda had time to do this right. They could have made a compelling Fallout co-op game. I'm not saying they couldn't have done it. The thing is, they didn't do it. And you can say that, oh, they can add this, they can do that. Well, you can wish all day. That doesn't mean it's in the game now. And they can make as many promises as they want. But that doesn't mean that it's in the game now. And the fact is, people have already got to very high levels. They've already beaten some of the end game content. They've already beaten some of the, there's already been people beat the storyline. And it's just, in a game that they want to be perpetual and keep going and going, people have already gotten into that end game loop. And they found that there's not much there. And this is part of the problem as well, is that I speculated on this back in June. I said, I don't think anyone at Bethesda understands what type of game they're trying to make, and I don't think they understand how to keep that ongoing game going. And if people have already reached the end game loop, and they've said that it's the same loop, like you're not going out, there's not like an extra tier, you're not going to discover this like, oh my goodness, the game totally changes once you get past this point. And most games of this type do hit that mark. And once again, this shows Bethesda doesn't have experience doing this, and they didn't learn from anyone else. They just kind of put their heads down, made the game that they wanted to make, and this is what we have. And now, sure, you can play a long time and clear out the areas, but I'm already at the point where I've already looped through the map several times. I've been to every zone in the map several times, and I keep finding myself just backtracking back and forth. I'm still having that same issue I talked about a few videos back, where every quest is just ping-ponging me back between... The last mission I did sent me from point A to point B 3 times in a row. Go here, turn on this computer. Go here, collect this. Now go back to the computer and put this into the computer. Now go back and collect something else at the same spot you were already at. And now go back here and hit the computer button again. And now go back to the original spot. And it's like, all you're doing is fetch quests here for dead people. Spoiler, everyone's dead. Actually, this is the quest right here. This is the location that they send you back to after you were just here. And it's not near where you start from. It's like a 10-minute walk. You start at one location, you walk for 10 minutes, and then they make you go right back, and then they send you right back again. That's all. You're just walking. And like I said, you can fast travel using caps, but you have a finite amount of caps. And don't even get me started with the vendor situation. The fact that you can't sell your ammo. I'm not even getting into the stash and the ammo and all that. I might save that for a separate video because that is that's a balancing issue, really. That's a Bethesda issue that they need to get in and fix as well. But that's not even what we're talking about. I'm trying to keep this on the conversation about this game. And I've gone too far off straight. So let's reel it in. Reel it in, coach. Anyway, I understand people want to get defensive about this stuff. You bought a game. You were hyped for the game. And you want to defend it. Maybe you really love Fallout. Maybe you really love Bethesda. I used to too. Until about June. So it's okay. At some point, you'll come around to accept the fact. Because this is not just me. This is not just angry YouTubers. Okay? This is not just negative New Vegas fanboys. That's not what this is. Because the critic reviews, the impartial critic reviews are in. Not people that got flown out to Greenbrier. Not their reviews. Not people whose livelihood revolves around Bethesda. Not their reviews. Now we have people from impartial sources. And I've already seen people doing damage control videos discussing that people that they thought were impartial are trashing this game and they just can't comprehend why the people that they thought were middle-of-the-road reviewers are trashing this game. Well, my friend, it's because this game is not good. I'm sorry. Do you know that the aggregate Metacritic score, and I know Metacritic is a rude way to go about this, and it's not perfect, but the Metacritic score for this is the lowest for any AAA game this generation. It's lower than No Man's Sky, which wasn't even really a AAA game, but that's another big flop. No Man's Sky has a 71 on Metacritic. Mass Effect Andromeda, a game that people despise for the most part. Some people will say that they like it, I know, but by and large, that's a game that got bad reviews, and people generally talk bad about it. And it's not a great game. I think it's kind of average. That has a 71 Metacritic. Sea of Thieves, a game which launched and died on the vine. Now, sure, Microsoft likes to say that they have a bunch of people still playing it, but that game, the buzz around that game died almost instantly. That game has a 69 on Metacritic. Metal Gear Survive, the game that was the previous Punchline when it came to review scores, a game that dumped all over the legacy of Kojima and the Metal Gear franchise. Metal Gear Survive has a 60 on Metacritic. Fallout 76, if you take the aggregate scores from PS4, PC, and Xbox, there's 23 official review scores posted right now, in addition to different YouTube videos from some major YouTube reviewers. Eurogamer put up a review that didn't have a score. They gave it their lowest ranking. Forbes put up a bad review today, but of the 23 that are on Metacritic right now, Fallout 76 has an aggregate score of 56 between all three platforms. That's if you add them all up and divide by 23. 56. Making it lower rated than Metal Gear Survive. So once again, if you guys are enjoying the game, that's fine. You can continue to enjoy it. But stop attacking other people who are trying to get other people to see the problems and to not throw down money on this game. The reason why we're doing it isn't because we want to stick it to Bethesda. The reason why we're doing it is because we don't want people to waste their money on this game because it's genuinely not a good game. And I've played over 65 hours of it so far. And I can tell you, honestly, this game is not up to standards in any genre you want to put it in. I already said that, but it's true, and I need to reiterate it. So I'm not sitting here attacking you guys, but I just want you guys to just sit down, just take a step back, and look at the situation. Try to play devil's advocate with yourself. And look at this, try to put yourself outside of the bubble where you love the game. And just look at what everyone else is saying. Because it's overwhelmingly negative. You guys are living in a bubble of denial. And I hate to sound like I'm being, coming down on people who like the game. But the fact of the matter is, you may like it, but this is not a good game. And you can say that's just your opinion. Yeah, it is. It's my opinion. It's also the opinion of mostly everyone. I would say the only people still kicking in this argument, you guys want to blame it on negative YouTubers. I would say the positive YouTubers are the only ones still keeping the hype for this game going, is the positive YouTubers. Because the media sites are trashing this game. Almost all of them. All the major sites, the channels that have over the millions of viewers, GameRakes even put one out, and they're generally pretty. You want to talk about middle of the road? GameRakes is pretty middle of the road. They don't lean too far either way. They put out another video today, and the guy smashed the game. And he's not trying to ride on a hate train. The game is legitimately bad. From as objective as I can be. And I know you might say that I'm biased against it, and yeah, you could have a good point there. But it's not just me now. You can't just blame this on a vocal minority. You can't just say it's New Vegas fanboys. Because this is happening industry-wide. That's all I got to say about that. So when I go out, I'm going to leave you guys with the audio bug. You're going to want to turn the sound down when I sign off. And I'm just going to let you listen to the audio bug that Bethesda had said that they identified and patched before the game came out. And now we've had 2 big patches, and I'm still having this audio bug. And what you're going to hear is the gunfire. It sounds like it's blasting directly in your ear, and it is far louder than my own gun. Any guns around me is far louder than the ambient soundtrack around. And I'm just going to play it at full volume. You're probably going to want to turn it down. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm probably going to lose a few subscribers, and that's fine, because I know that there's some people who are already mad at me, people telling me I'm lying about the game, people telling me I'm just riding a negative hype train, just trying to get views, because people tell me I'm cashing in. Guys, I don't make a dime off this. I'm not trying to sell you t-shirts. I don't have a Patreon set up. I'm not looking for your support. I'm just trying to get the word out. Now, I know everyone else is also doing it, but I've been doing this since June. I'm not just jumping on a hype train. Been talking about this. I have hours and hours and hours of video discussing this game. And you want to know what? Most of what I predicted in June was correct, unfortunately. The only thing that I really got wrong was the PvP stuff. But that has issues of a whole other stripe now. And we can talk about that another time. But pretty much everything else that I said has come true with this game. So you guys can tell me that I'm negative, tell me I'm a hater, whatever you want. I'm telling you guys, the jury is in. They've deliberated, and you lost. I'm sorry. The game's a bust. The sales are way down, and I know people are going to say that's just physical sales in the UK. Yeah, but it's 82% down. By any metric you want to cut it, that's a huge market loss in that region. And I understand digital sales are taking over, but not to that extent. Not 82% down in 3 years. So you guys can say whatever you want. And I've always said the whole time that this game's going to sell millions of copies, but obviously it's going to be down. And the review, at the very least, it's the worst reviewed Fallout game of all time. And at this point, find me another major game from a major publisher that has worse reviews than this. Go for it. because I can't find one. Once again, lower review scores than Metal Gear Survive. Just let that sink in, especially on PlayStation. The game has a 49 Metacritic on PlayStation alone. And that's the most reviewed platform. Has the most reviews. So again, you guys, I don't know. Do what you want. I'm going to leave you with this lovely audio bug. I'm Coach Toolshed. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Please subscribe if you want to stay in tune with the channel headed forward. And as always, keep it turned to 11. Once again, turn the audio down now, unless you want to blow your ears out.